Pakistan has just given Asim Munir's expanded military role a legal backbone. Parliament in Pakistan has passed the Defence Forces Act 2026 alongside amendments to the law governing Pakistan's National Command Authority. And that matters because this is no longer just about a powerful army chief. Asim Munir is now simultaneously Pakistan's army chief and chief of defence forces, with a new law defining the powers of that office as well. And that is the development that we're going to try and decode tonight, what it means for us back at home. Pakistan's parliament has now passed the Defence Forces Act 2026 along with amendments to the National Command Authority Act. These are not routine changes, mind you. They give legal and administrative shape to the military restructuring introduced through Pakistan's 27th constitutional amendment. At the center of it all is Field Marshal Asim Munir. Munir is already Pakistan's army chief, but he is also the country's first chief of defence forces, effectively placing him at the top of a new tri-service command structure involving the army, the navy and the air force. And the new law gives that office significant operational powers. The CDF gets operational command and control of the armed forces, powers relating to joint operations and coordination, integration, and the ability to retire, release or dismiss personnel under the law. A new Defence Forces headquarters has also been created. So what are we seeing is a transition from a constitutional change to an actual legal framework for how this new military hierarchy will now function. But there is another part of the story that deserves particular attention from India. Pakistan is also amending the law governing its National Command Authority, the institution at the heart of its strategic and nuclear decision-making architecture. And alongside the new CDF structure, Pakistan has created the post of Commander National Strategic Command. General Aamer Raza was appointed to that post. So you now have two developments happening together: a more consolidated conventional army command structure and a reworked framework around Pakistan's strategic command, which also houses the nuclear rewiring. Now, none of this automatically means Pakistan's nuclear weapons are suddenly under some new individual authority, but it does mean that the legal architecture governing Pakistan's military and strategic command is being significantly reorganized. And that is why India needs to watch this carefully, and we clearly are. Because a more centralized military hierarchy can potentially mean faster decision-making, clearer chains of command, and greater institutional influence for the military leadership in Pakistan. It also raises the larger question about Pakistan's civil-military balance. We all know how awry that is. But is this simply an attempt to make command more efficient, or is Pakistan formally institutionalizing an even greater role for the military in the functioning of the state? And from India's perspective, does a more consolidated command structure make Pakistan a more predictable military actor, or does concentrating more authority right at the top create new strategic risks? And importantly, what does the new nuclear command architecture mean for crisis stability between India and Pakistan? Those are the questions that we need to unpack. Let's take this forward with our two military experts. Major General Sudhakar Ji, defense and geopolitical expert. Long time no see, General. Nice to have you back. And Major General K.K. Sinha, defense expert, with us on the broadcast as well. General Sudhakar Ji, at a purely military level, for the layman out there, let's quickly understand what has changed with Asim Munir becoming both the Chief of Army Staff and the CDF. Is this primarily about coordination over there between the tri-services, or does it materially concentrate command and authority with Asim Munir, who now seems to be the centerpiece of this, military puzzle in Pakistan?
Good evening, Kabir. Thank you very much for inviting me for your show, and my very deep regards and warm greetings to my senior co-panelist, distinguished and esteemed co-panelist. Your question has got more than one part, but let me give the first response to the larger picture. What is the larger picture? What has this amendment to Constitution done? The larger picture is that the federal structure of Pakistan has undergone substantial change, wherein the autonomy they used to enjoy earlier is no longer going to be there. The second larger picture is that the judiciary, which is to be independent vertical earlier, has lost its independence. Now you come to the brass tacks. When you talk about the brass tacks, you have to take your mind, and let me very quickly respond to your question. It has marginalized the judiciary, one, and it has actually elevated the status and legitimized the center of gravity, army being or the army chief being the center of gravity. In saying that, what I mean to highlight is that one person becoming chief of the army staff, becoming the chief of defense staff, also being one of the members, the National Command Authority must be understood. Wherever you have strategic forces, they generally, without any exception, they have a thing called a National Command Authority. And the National Command Authority operates on a system called a collegiate system. In simplistic expression, somebody has to initiate the proposal, somebody has to recommend the proposal, and somebody has to approve the proposal. In all countries, except for the authoritarian countries, you have the approving authority is actually the executive. The power of executive, that is the prime minister of a country, is the authority to approve any deployment or utilization or execution of national command authority. But in the case of exceptions are there, Russia is different, you have North Korea is different, China is different. But in case of democracies, what is happening in case of Pakistan is that, yes, he's put a strategic force commander, fine. He's given the recommendation. The prime minister is there in the hierarchy. He's supposed to be, he's something like taken for granted. But ultimate authority is going to be enjoyed by Munir. Now, Munir, when I say, I wish to highlight the following aspects. First and foremost thing is that it is going to be legislated. It will become an act in the Parliament of Pakistan. What is the meaning behind this? The meaning behind this is there are three things which Munir has done very smartly. First and foremost thing is that the Supreme Court has been marginalized by creating a federal constitutional body, which is something parallel to the Supreme Court, but the constitution of the Federal Constitution Court is actually supposed to be made by a body of people who earlier is to be dominated or not dominated, is to be represented by the judicial community. Now what has happened is from 26th Amendment incidentally was in October 2024, if I respect my memory, and the 27th one was in 2025. In 2024, they brought in the executive, that is the member of parliaments, the ministers, the cabinet people. They came into the selection committee, which earlier is to be dominated or to be represented by the judiciary. So when you get the executive, then what happens is, then the distinction of two verticals, separation of power, you call it, you use the word balance of power. I am saying separation of power is very, very important in case of a democracy. It has got merged. When the power gets merged, it becomes very complicated and it will lead to, it will compound the problems in time set. This is one part. Second part is the Munir having become the chief of defense staff, there is a lifelong immunity against any kind of criminal investigation or any kind of trial. So this immunity is going to give him a long time protection till he is surviving. Nobody can dare. There are two people in Pakistan who are given this kind of protection. One is the Field Marshal Munir. The second is the president. Munir is the 5-star general now, so he enjoys this. And third and most important thing, which I feel, is that all decision making, ultimately it is the decision making with regard to strategic resources, that is the nuclear arsenal or the missile ecosystem of the missile forces, or the decision making in employment of the armed forces. That is the biggest. Today, the chief of the air staff of Pakistan Army, incidentally, as per the date of commissioning, is junior to Munir by 1 year or 1 or 2 years. You don't have a system in the armed forces where a junior unless there is a supersession and it is legislated. So therefore, it is going to cause a lot of heartburn and going to lead to a lot of acrimony because the promotion profile of the people, officers' profile, I'm saying, it has got stagnated over past 6 to 7 years. It started with General Bajwa's time. He got extension. Thereafter, Munir has got extension. Now, Munir has got himself legislated. I really don't know how Pakistan Army is going.
All right, General. I think you've, I need to cut out this portion and put it up on our, media verse saying this is the explained version of what this now means with the new powers that are consolidated with Asim Munir. The federal structure is now more militarized. The judiciary is marginalized. You have the collegiate system, which has completely been sidelined. And with these new amendments, the executive also comes into the fray. And it seems like he's now finally sitting on this golden throne. But, General Sinha, what does this mean for India? I'm sure India is watching this legislation very closely, but what is that one change? If we were to compare what the command structure was like before and what it is like right now, and what is that one legislation that New Delhi is watching very closely?
Good evening, Jai Hind. My regards to General Sudhakarji. We can discuss till the cow can come home the framework on which the Defence Forces Act 2026 and also the Command Authority Act of 2010 has been amended. That is amended. We can, a country like Pakistan, these things actually doesn't matter in my judgment, because you have to, understand what, on which backdrop it has been done. It has been done on the backdrop of Operation Sindhu. In Operation Sindhu, they were badly beaten. And then, all of a sudden, a field marshal has become field marshal. And the same field marshal was trying to suppress, the public uprising, which happened on 9th May in 2023, where the Imran Khan was put, because, this is what the proxy military rule, dictatorship in Pakistan. Pakistan has been governed 4 times by Ayub Khan for 11 years, Ayya Khan for 3 years, thereafter Jaul Haq for a very long time, and Parvez Musharraf. It is, you take it, it is a takeover. You can call it, a military state, which is done by constitution, by amendment of constitution, which we said the 27th amendment.
A military coup of sorts with a legal backbone.
Absolutely. A legal, India has to look in that, angle. Any country can have, has got, right and power and should do, military command structure changes. They can do it. They have created the Chief of Defence Forces, and Asim Munir has become one, holding 2 posts. As a Chief of Army Staff, at the same time, you are also the Chief of Defence Forces. See, these are all, it is fine. They can do it. India will do it the way we have done it in Operation Sindhu.
Yeah.
We have got the jointness, and we have got the jointness in a real sense. We are going for theatre command. If they go for theatre command, that's not the point of, that is a military domain, and the people who are there now actually matters. They are carrying out all this thing. It is not going to make actually anything ground other than what the Pakistans were doing earlier. It is a total, Pakistan, you have to understand, it has becoming a military state by proxy, not by this. Immunity given by a legal framework and constitution amendment doesn't give anything. He is the most powerful man, and he wants to remain like this. He doesn't want to have the fate like Musharraf to run away from the country and die in other country. He can't fall back. He doesn't want to have the same thing. Jaul Haq was bumped off in the mid-air. He doesn't want to have, when you lose a battle in 1971 and thereafter the hanging is done to that time in the Bhutto. So we have to understand this. We are a rogue state, which is becoming a military state by, by proxy. You have to take it that way. Like, they are making a National Strategic Command, National Strategic Command declaring a guy 4-star general. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, give them 6 stars, 7 stars for all that matters.
They can have a field marshal, all army, Army, Navy, Air Force chief, all can become any rank. What is the, crux of the whole thing? The crux of the whole thing is that, the civil or the people who get so-called elected and come and ruling the country, they are sidelined by a proxy. And this proxy is good for India. You will take it. If a country has got a structure, a federal structure, it's very fine. A country which becoming a rogue. You see, today, POK, you see what is happening in POK, Gilgit-Baltistan, which is happening in Balochistan, and the things are not good. Today's development, if you see, you have to look at this, very holistically. Otherwise, we can say, okay, this change, that change, it doesn't matter on ground at all.
Okay.
If they have got strategic command, the complete nuclear command failed. That was hit. Noor Khan, bases where the command structure of this thing was failed.
Yeah.
And that is for the world first time two nuclear states had, a confrontation, and which a state which have a nuclear hit the other state which is a nuclear in their
So you're saying
domain.
you're saying this is a military coup with a legal backbone. Nothing's going to change per se because you need actual teeth. It doesn't matter you've got 7 stars or 8 stars. And this is all reaction to Operation Sindoor and the brutal beating that they got and they received. I've run out of time here, but I really want to touch upon this. General Sudhakarji, you see, please exercise brevity. Before I move on, my other guests are waiting. I do want to understand, what does this tell us about the evolving civil-military equation in Pakistan? I think a little bit of that has already been alluded by, General Sinha, but what's your take here?
Okay, quick reflections in response to your question. We have to understand whatever is happening in Pakistan is primarily to address the internal turbulence. The internal turbulence, the turning point of Pakistan's history was 2010 when a constitutional amendment was imposed on Pakistan. Why? Who did it? IMF and World Bank, they refused to give the loan because the military coup, because of military. So they have got actually inserted a caveat that hereafter there will be no military coup, no matter what the situation is. The situation has gone so much out of hand that military, unless that is the ultimate option, unless military takes over, so how does military take over if they have given an assurance that there will be no military coup? So this is circumventing the rule of law in such a way so that it is called as a natural process of legislation or giving power to the chief of the army staff or making him CDS, but virtually he has been made as number one in Pakistan today, and whatever he says, that will be the last call and also decision by the Pakistan Prime Minister will have no standing, no bearing. Pakistan Chief of the Army Staff and Chief of Defence Staff will be the last man to call the shot.
As if it has the constitutional post has any standing in today's time as well. So I think what we've drawn clarity on the facts are that this is a federal structure that is now becoming militarized. You'll have the judiciary and the people's will being completely marginalized. And of course, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, it's all reactive. India will continue to have the upper hand and will continue to watch it closely, no matter 7 stars or 8 stars. On that note, Generals, many thanks for taking out the time and helping us, put these new amendments into perspective. General Sudhakarji and General K.K. Sinha. Many thanks, Generals. All right, then, before we wrap this segment up, every day we've been talking about food safety. We've got food safety educators and warriors with us on the broadcast. And we're again going to try and decode, because we have an FSSAI crackdown. How much can a single word on a food packet influence what food you buy? 100%. Big bold letters.